Okay, welcome. Welcome everyone to session number 239 of Kevin Reads A Course in Miracles. Okay. Today we are ending chapter 30, which is known as the New Beginning. And we will be focusing on the last section in that chapter, section 8, Roman numeral 8, VIII, entitled Changeless Reality. Okay, and I was fortunate enough to be at the Foundation's Roscoe, Tanana Lake in the Catskills, their facility in the year 2000, to hear Dr. Wapnick talk about this section. And what he said about this section is that he called it a level 1 section, meaning that Jesus is talking about reality as it is, as it truly is, the abstract oneness, okay, the reality of who and what you really are. Right? And he's saying that is changeless. Right? So this is the changeless reality. Paragraph 1. Appearances deceive, but can be changed. Reality is changeless. It does not deceive at all. And if you fail to see beyond appearances, you are deceived. For everything you see will change, and yet you thought it real before, and now you think it real again. Reality is thus reduced to form and capable of change. Reality is changeless. It is this that makes it real and keeps it separate from all appearances. It must transcend all form to be itself. It cannot change. Excuse me. So that is the level 1 statement Dr. Wapnick is talking about. This is reality cannot change. It keeps it separate from all appearances. In the first sentence, he says, appearances deceive, but they can be changed. All right, so whatever we see, all the forms that we see, we think they're real, but they can change. And he says, then when they change, you think they're real too. All right? Appearances deceive, but can be changed. Reality is changeless. It does not deceive at all. And if you fail to see beyond appearances, you are deceived. All right? And to see beyond appearances, we need assistance. He tells us, don't try to do this by yourself. All right? Don't do this in solitude, he says. We need to go to that part of the mind that remembers reality. Right? And ask, help me to see through the eyes of truth. Right? And if you fail to see beyond the appearances, you are deceived. So if I think this world is it, and my appearances and my existence is it, the end all and be all, he says, you are deceived. You're kidding yourself. For everything you see will change. Okay? We know it does. Everything you see will change. And yet, you thought it was real before, and now you think it's real again. Okay? He says, reality is thus reduced to form and capable of change. He says, in that case, reality is just whatever appears in form. Right? No matter how magnificent and majestic it is, we could say, oh, those mountains, that forest, those beautiful animals, that proves that God is real. He says, you're being fooled by appearances. Okay? This is what you are is far beyond that. Far beyond that. All right? He says, reality is reduced to form and capable of change. Then he repeats it. Reality is changeless. It is this that makes it real. It is consistent. It never changes. This is what makes it real. And it keeps it separate from all appearances. So your true self, let's plug that into the equation. Your true self is what is real. And it's really separate from all appearances. It's none of what appears to be. Okay? Thank goodness. It must transcend all form to be itself. All right, who you truly are must transcend all form to be itself. It cannot change. It is always. You are that, as Gangaji would say. It is always that. Paragraph 2. The miracle is means to demonstrate that all appearances can change because they are appearances and cannot have the changelessness reality entails. The miracle attests salvation from appearances by showing they can change. Your brother has a changelessness in him beyond appearance and deception. Right? Beyond appearance and deception both. It is obscured by changing views of him that you perceive as his reality. The happy dream about him takes the form of the appearance of his perfect health, his perfect freedom from all forms of lack, and safety from disaster of all kinds. The miracle is proof he is not bound by loss or suffering in any form, because it can so easily be changed. This demonstrates that it never was real and could not stem from his reality. For that is changeless and has no effects that anything in heaven or on earth could ever alter. But appearances are shown to be unreal because they change. All right, so what he's saying is that the miracle, this is a course in miracles, all right, and it's not changing water into wine. It's not walking on water. It's not multiplying fish and bread, even though that's cool. Right? It's shedding the light. It's opening the awareness, right, to see that appearances are not what they appear to be. Right? To show you the truth beyond the appearance. Right? The miracle demonstrates that all the appearances can change. All right? It turns you on to the truth. All right? And appearances can change because they are appearances. They are illusions. They are hallucinations. And they cannot have the changelessness that reality entails. Right? They just don't have the changelessness. Right? You can just see it yourself. Eckhart Tolle talks about the effects of time. He says, if you want to see the effects of time, put an apple on a shelf. Put it on your windowsill, and if you don't have that many windowsills, you live in Manhattan, put it on a shelf somewhere. And then look at it every now and then as the month goes by. And you see the appearance change. Okay? And the miracle attests that salvation from appearances by showing that they can change. And the miracle attests salvation. That means you're free from that because you are a mind, not an appearance, not a form. You are a mind. because these appearances change. Right? Your brother has a changelessness in him. All right? So once again, we go to the other and the idea of forgiveness, which is being willing to see the truth about the other. Right? Your brother has a changelessness in him, beyond appearances and deception both. So beyond the form, no matter what song and dance they're doing in front of you. All right? They might be the prettiest, and they might be the most vile, right? Most threatening of people. Beyond those appearances. All right? Because those appearances deceive. Beyond them, there's a changelessness in them. Right? And I don't have to figure it out. All I have to do is be willing to see. I'm willing to drop all my projections, and I'm willing to see the changelessness. I'm willing to see the truth about the other. I'm willing to see them as they truly are. All those things we've recently been reading. Right, or different ways that Jesus puts it. Your brother has a changelessness in him, beyond appearance and deception both. And this changelessness is obscured by changing views of him, right, that you perceive as his reality. Right? I mean, you take it in your own personal relationships. Sometimes you like them, sometimes you don't. Right? But it's all based on the form. You would always understand and project and extend love if you were looking past the form. And we do that with help. Okay? Because otherwise, who they are is obscured by changing views of him that you perceive as his reality. And then he says, the happy dream about him takes the form of the appearance of his perfect health. All right, so the happy dream, which means you're still in form, but your perception has changed. And now you see him correctly, which means you become aware of the changelessness in him, no matter what he presents or she presents. All right? You can see the perfect health, which means their innocence, the fact that they're never separated. All right? That's the perfect health. The sickness is the separation. Okay? The happy dream about him takes the form of the appearance of his perfect health. So when we are able to see, right, the truth about the others, right, we are in the happy dream. Okay? His perfect freedom from all forms of lack and safety from disaster of all kinds. So when we're willing to see the truth about the other, see them as they truly are, this is what will come up in our awareness. We see them in perfect health, which means we don't see them as separated, as sinners. Right? We see the innocence. We become aware of the innocence. Right? And this perfect freedom from all forms of lack. Right? And safety from disaster of all kinds. Right? We see that they're just walking around in an illusion also. Sentence 6 in paragraph 2. The miracle is proof he is not bound by loss or suffering in any form, because it can so easily be changed. So the miracle, which sheds light on the situation, right, it gives us proof that the other is not bound by loss. It's not bound by the thought of separation, the loss of the oneness. And they're not bound by suffering in any form, because these things can easily change. Loss and suffering can change. All right. This demonstrates that it never was real. It was never real and could not stem from his reality. For that is changeless. All right. So the other's reality is changeless. And it has no effects. It has no effects that anything in heaven or on earth could ever alter. But appearances are shown to be unreal because they change. All right? The only thing that is changeless is the truth. It's the truth of who you really are. It's the truth about the oneness. Everything else is subject to change. And just as an aside, what changes is our interpretation of what's going on in front of us. It's not that if someone is suffering, if you're suffering, it's not that the physical stimulations change necessarily. It's our perception, our interpretation of it changes. Paragraph 3. What is temptation but a wish to make illusions real? It does not seem to be the wish that no reality be so. Yet it is an assertion that some forms of idols have a powerful appeal that makes them harder to resist than those you would not want to have reality. Temptation, then, is nothing more than this: a prayer, the miracle touch not some dreams, but keep their unreality obscure, and give to them reality instead. And heaven gives no answer to the prayer, nor can a miracle be given you to heal appearances you do not like. You have established limits. What you ask is given you, but not of God, who knows no limits. You have limited yourself. So what he's talking about very poetically here, all right, he says that, we all want the peace that passes all understanding. We all want to see everything in the light of truth, right? But there's but there's some things you like. There's some things you don't want to put down, right? There's some things you don't want to have dissolved because they are illusions, all right? And so he says, so that's temptation. It's a wish to make some illusions real. All right? It's an assertion that some forms have a powerful appeal that makes them harder to resist than those you would not want to have reality. So some things you like. All right? That's why it's just pointing it out. You're not condemned for that. He's just saying, you limit yourself. So you just observe yourself very kindly, very gently. All right? And say, oh yeah, I'm still clinging to that because I like it. I think, whatever, it does something for me or gives me something or it helps me. All right? You're not asked to sacrifice things. You're just asked to notice. All right? But he says, This is what keeps us from experiencing the full-on happy dream and the full-on awakening. Okay? So it's an assertion that there are some forms of idols that have a powerful appeal and that make them harder to resist. Right? Temptation then is nothing more than this, a prayer that the miracle touch not some dreams, but keep their unreality obscure and give to them reality instead. You know, you have certain people, family members, or that you really are close to. All right, you would miss them. You really love them, as we say in form. Right? So let the miracle not touch these dreams. Right? Let it not change my perception of these people. All right? But keep their unreality obscure. Keep the unreality of the relationship obscure. Because otherwise, you know, I have abandonment issues, whatever. Which I'm sure I do. All right? And heaven gives no answer to the prayer. All right? Nor can a miracle be given you to heal appearances you do not like. All right? So you can't just keep one thing and get rid of the other. I mean, you can get rid of the other, but you know, everything must go, as they say in the final sales. Everything must go. All right? You have established limits. All right? I want to get rid of that, but not this. You have established limits. What you ask is given you. All right? So what you want, you get. But not of God, who knows no limits. All right? Right? You have limited yourself. All right? God is not doing anything. He's not moving chess pieces around in your life. All right? The primal source, the original creator, is only endless reality, endless oneness. Right? Anything else is limitation, and we limit ourselves. But just notice that you're doing it, all right? And it's difficult to let stuff go, especially people. I know that. All right? But what we truly want and we truly work on is that peace of mind. Help me to see correctly. I'm willing to see it. I have summoned up the courage. I want to see things as they truly are. And you get there. All right? And he just repeats in paragraph 4, you know, reality is changeless. Miracles but show what you have interposed between reality and your pardon me, I'm tripping over my own lips here. Paragraph 4, reality is changeless. Miracles but show what you have interposed between reality and your awareness is unreal and does not interfere at all. The cost of the belief there must be some appearances beyond the hope of change is that the miracle cannot come forth from you consistently, for you have asked it be withheld from power to heal all dreams. There is no miracle you cannot have when you desire healing, but there is no choice that can be given you unless you want it. Choose what you would heal, and he who gives all miracles has not been given freedom to bestow his gifts upon the Son, God's Son. When he is tempted, he denies reality, and he becomes the willing slave of what he chose instead. All right? It's just reiterating basically what he said before. Reality is changeless, and the miracle just shows you that what you have placed between yourself and reality is not real. Right? And we should be grateful for that. Right? The miracles but show that what you have interposed between reality and your awareness is unreal. Right? And it does not interfere at all. So all these things, everything in form, doesn't interfere with reality. It doesn't change reality. And the miracle will shed the light on that. All right? And in our condition, especially in my condition, we take it little by little. We take it step by step. Because there are some things that I think are important or that I want. I'm afraid to let them go. There are some things I cling to. You know, the Buddhists talk about clinging. And in that, and it's the same idea, right? You don't get the total awareness if you're still clinging to something. All right. As he says here, choose what you would heal. And he who gives all miracles has not been given the freedom to bestow his gifts upon God's Son. So if I'm still holding on to something, you don't get the complete awareness of who you truly are. All right? And don't fret. It's seeping through, so to speak. All right? His gifts, when he is tempted, he denies reality. So when I'm tempted, I deny reality. And I'm tempted by something I think is valuable to me in form. Some form is valuable to me. I need it for something. Okay? And when he's tempted, when I'm tempted that way, this is what is love. This is what's love. I'm denying reality. I'm denying that my very essence is love. Because I think it's taken a form over here. Right? And I become a willing slave of what I chose instead of reality. I become a willing slave of whatever it is. People, places, and things. Okay? I remember he's not doing this pointing the finger at you, yelling at you. All right? Just asking us to open our eyes, be observant, notice. And if you want to change, you will. And it takes a certain amount of courage to say, yeah, okay, I really would like to see the truth now. Okay? Paragraph 5. Because reality is changeless, is a miracle already there to help all things, is there to heal all things that change, and offer them to you to see in happy form, devoid of fear. It will be given you to look upon your brother thus, but not while you would have it otherwise, in some respects. For this but means you would not have him healed and whole. The Christ in him is perfect. Is it this that you would look upon? Then let there be no dreams about him that you would prefer to seeing this. And you will see the Christ in him because you let him come to you. And when he has appeared to you, you will be certain you are like him. For he is the changeless in your brother and in you. All right, that's so beautiful. And I remember Dr. Wapnick saying that it was similar to what was written in the letter of John, the Apostle John, right, to one of his groups, his first letter, I believe it was. That he said, when you see him, you will know that you are like him. All right. And this is what we're talking about. We're not talking about form. We're talking about the awareness of the innocence, the awareness of the oneness and the magnificence of the oneness. And he says, when you see that in the other, you will realize that it's also in you. That's what he means by the Christ. The face of Christ is the innocence. Okay? The Christ in him is perfect. Is it this that you would look upon? All right. So that innocence in him is perfect. Isn't that what you would look? Is that what you want to look upon? Is it this that you would look upon? Then let there be no dreams about him that you would prefer to seeing this. All right. In other words, put down the projections. All right. Put down all the other projections of what you think the other is, what you think he or she is. Put down your projections if you would prefer to see the truth, if you would prefer to see the Christ in him, the innocence. And you will see the Christ in him because you let him come to you. Because you said, okay, I'm willing. I'm willing to see that. I'm willing to see the truth. And this is when he says it. And when he has appeared to you, just like in the letter of John, and when he has appeared to you, you will be certain you are like him. For he is the changeless in your brother and in you. So when you see the face of Christ, when you see that perfect innocence, when you are aware of the oneness, you will realize that that's who you are. You will be certain that you are like that. For he is the changeless in your brother and in you. All right? Because the truth is the changelessness that's in the other and in you, if you're willing to see it. Paragraph 6, this will you look upon when you decide there is not one appearance you would hold in place of what your brother really is. Let no temptation to prefer a dream allow uncertainty to enter here. Be not made guilty and afraid when you are tempted by a dream of what he is, but do not give it power to replace the changelessness in him, in your sight of him. There is no false appearance, but will fade if you request a miracle instead. There is no pain from which he is not free, if you would have him be but what he is. Why should you fear to see the Christ in him? You but behold yourself in what you see, and he is healed. As he is healed, are you made free of guilt? For his appearance is your own to you. Okay? So you will see this. You will see the Christ in him. You will become aware of the total innocence and the oneness and the fact that you never left the oneness. This will you look upon when you decide there is not one appearance that you would hold in place of what your brother really is. All right, when we have been willing to put down all projections of what we think the other is, that's when the awareness arises. Let no temptation to prefer a dream allow uncertainty to enter here. So when you're tempted to say, yeah, but look at what he does. It says, let no temptation to prefer a dream allow uncertainty to enter here. Be not made guilty and afraid when you're tempted by a dream of what he is. All right. So he says, don't succumb to the guilt, because when we project the guilt, when we project the illusion, when we project the dream onto the other, we automatically are affected by it. We automatically succumb to guilt and fear. Right? Do not give these things any power to replace the changeless. Right? Just keep stepping back, as my wonderful teacher Emily Andrews used to say. When you notice that there's some aspects of guilt that you're projecting onto the person, you keep it up, just step back and try to relinquish those things. So that you don't give them the power to replace the changelessness in him. There is no false appearance, but will fade. Every false appearance will fade. Right? If you request a miracle instead, if you are willing, say, help me to see this correctly, the false appearance will fade. The false appearance will fade. There is no false appearance, but will fade if you request a miracle instead. There is no pain from which he is not free, if you would have him be but what he is. All right. He may be, or she may be, in physical pain, emotional pain, all right, some kind of spiritual pain. All right. If you let them be as they are, if you're willing to see them as they are, you will see that they are free from it. All right. And the form doesn't necessarily change. All right. But what changes is your interpretation of what's going on, and that there's only one mind. So it's in the bank for them, so to speak. And sooner or later, they will realize that they have the same ability to see things through corrected vision. All right. He says, why should you fear to see the Christ in him? Why should you be afraid to do that? He says, you but behold yourself in what you see. All right? You will see the Christ in yourself. you will see that you are like him. Right? And as he is healed, are you made free of guilt? Right? You are free from the thought of separation. As we allow the other to be themselves, as we're willing to see them as they truly are, you are made free of guilt. For his appearance is your own to you. Right? Because what you see is a projection. His appearance is your own to you. Right? There is only the oneness. All the appearances will fade as we work on being willing to see the Christ, being willing to see the innocence, right? Being willing to become aware of the changeless reality. The changeless reality is what you really are. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. This was a short section. All right. And that ends chapter 30. And without much fanfare, we will begin the final chapter in the next session. That's exciting. Alrighty then. Thank you for the opportunity. All right. Godspeed.